Hi, I'm Tom Sinclair, and I am here to tell you a little bit about the PTZ Optics 12X PTZ camera. That's right, it's the PT12X-SDI. Comes in gray or white. I just happen to have one right here, of course. Neat little camera. Love this camera. The 12X is the kind of the baby of their camera line. There's the 12X, the 20X, and the 30X. This is the one I use in my studio, the 12X, and I love it because I can control it right here from the chair with this handy dandy remote control. We'll tell you a little bit about that in just a second. The 12X has on the back of it all sorts of knobs and buttons and features and ports. Let's start on this side. This is the Ethernet jack, the LAN jack, and that would be connecting to your local area network, of course, where you can control the camera. You can control the camera using an IP controller. You can control it using popular software like vMix. There are lots of different ways to control it over IP. The IP will also provide the video. So you can stream video from this jack to your PC and make it part of your production. And you can also power the camera over Ethernet. So that's right, if you have a 12-volt PoE switch, you can actually control the camera, power the camera, and receive video from the camera all over Ethernet. So basically, one cable will do the whole thing. But if you don't want to do Ethernet, the only drawback with the Ethernet is that there's some latency in it. Might be, depending on your network, anywhere from 200 to 400 milliseconds of latency on that. If all your cameras are the same way, then it doesn't matter. But if you have a mix of cameras, then you probably don't want to use IP because the audio lip sync, if it involves any kind of lip sync, will be off. The next port over from that is the HDMI port, and that would be HDMI output from the camera to an HDMI input on your PC or laptop. Next to that is going to be the SDI jack, and that's going to be output of SDI. Next to that is the USB 2.0 port, and that's not for video, that's for future use, but we've also found out that it does supply 5 volts of electricity, so if you needed to power a microphone or something like that right here at the camera, you could do it from the camera. Next to that is the DC jack, where your shore power would plug in, and then the on-off switch. Going back over to the second row, right here at the top is the line-in jack, and this would be where your audio came in from a mixer. If you wanted to use a microphone, for example, you'd have to use a power mic or steal some power from the USB port, as we just talked about. Next to that, the CVBS port is actually your composite video port, the little yellow video jack that you used to see on some of the older gear. And so that would allow you to have a composite output if you needed it. Next to that is the resolution dial, the little blue and yellow resolution dial that actually is a dial, and you can actually change those settings. And the settings have a legend right here on the bottom that tells you what they mean. Currently it's set for 0, which is 1080p 60 frames a second. I like 1080p 30 frames a second, and so that's number 6. So I'm a number 6 guy on the dial. Next to that is the RS485 control, and next to that is the in and the out, the VISCA for the RS232 jacks. So you can control via VISCA if you choose. You can also, of course, control over IP, or you can control with the handy dandy remote control. The remote control will control up to 4 cameras, and each camera can have up to 10 presets. So you can preset your shots and call on those with the remote control. It also has the ability to be controlled individually, so live, so you can go pan and tilt and zoom, and then there's a home button in the middle, so you can go right back to home if you need to. Your zoom buttons are at the bottom, and then there's some backlight and focus controls at the very bottom. You can also use this to reset the camera to the factory defaults. If you forget your IP address or for some reason it doesn't seem to be working, you can go in and through a combination of keystrokes on this, you can set it to to the factory default. All that's in the owner's manual. It's really pretty cool. On the bottom of the camera, we've got some connections. We've got the standard 1/4-20 threaded receptacle right here with the reference point for it. This would be for your tripod. We've got 1, 2, 3 different threaded holes here that would allow you to connect to the PTZ Optics ceiling bracket, so it can be mounted into the ceiling. And then, of course, you've got the pads here if you wanted to just have it sitting on the desktop. The 1/4-20, of course, would work with a tripod as well as with the wall bracket that comes from PTZ Optics. We have those here on our website as well. So that's the PTZ Optics 12X camera, the PT12X-SDI, but don't let the SDI fool you because it's got HDMI and composite and IP streaming too. Speaking of IP streaming, the camera actually has an encoder in it. So you can stream directly from the camera. You don't need a computer. You don't need to hook it into anything other than into Ethernet. So if you're plugged into an Ethernet jack and the camera is properly configured with a URL and stream key, if you flip the camera on, then as soon as the camera sets itself, it will begin streaming to that destination, whatever destination you've set, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or a third-party CDN. It will do it automatically from inside the camera. These cameras are great for churches. We've set them up, golly, in tons of churches. The 12X is the one that I use in my studio for the Streaming Idiot show. We've used the big brother of these is the 20X and the 30X, and we've used a 20X, one of these, at a dolphin show in a waterproof enclosure, actually above the water, not below the water. Really, really pretty handy. If you have any questions about these, you can shoot me an email, tom@easternshorebroadcasting.com, or go to our website, easternshorebroadcasting.com, and they're in the store. There's also a contact form there on the website so that you can contact me with any questions about the camera. Happy to answer any questions. Thanks for watching.